All right.
This is Speech from the group Arrested Development, and you're watching the Break It Down show.
Fantastic. This is a part of our Getting the Gig series. Speech. I'm finishing up a book called Getting the Gig and
Come on.
talking to artists about uh, sort of the chronicle of their lives and careers. Um, and, as a piggyback to the book. But you specifically, I want to say, Speech for our viewers. We know you are from Arrested Development. I'm sure everybody watching us knows that you came from Arrested Development, that you hailed originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that you grew up with in a very aware household with a mother who published the Milwaukee Community Journal,
Yeah.
um, and a dad who, at least for a little while, was a nightclub owner and owned the
Yeah.
Fox Trap, where you DJ'd at age 13.
Yeah, you know a lot then. Yeah, that's all true. It's all
Well,
true.
so then you moved at some point, you when it was time for you to enter your adulthood, you moved to Atlanta to attend the Art Institute of Atlanta, and
Yes,
that's where you started Arrested Development.
that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, all of
And
that's true.
I want to start this conversation by saying, Speech, we need you, man. We need you now more than ever.
Oh, thank you, man. That's beautiful. It's good to be needed.
This
It's
day and
good to be
time,
needed.
man, needs you real
Yeah.
bad.
Well, it's funny. I actually agree with that. I think that I've been writing. I've been writing even today. And as I write, I feel like it's a necessary part. And that's exactly how I felt, 30 odd years ago when I was writing the 3 years, 5 months album. I
Mhm.
felt like the world needs this. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to be in a full circle moment.
Well, the thing that happened, for we're roughly the same age. You might have just a few months on me, but when that record came out, I grew up in the Bay Area, and I grew up
Yeah.
in a town called Vallejo, which is coincidentally Sly Stone's hometown. So,
Wow. I was just
when
near there a couple weeks ago.
oh, what were you doing out here?
I did a concert. What did gosh, where did we actually perform? I forget exactly the festival we performed. I want to say it was
Oh, Bottle
Bottle
Rock.
Cap,
Bottle
Bottle
Rock.
Rock,
Yeah.
Bottle Rock. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I missed you at
Mhm.
Bottle Rock. I had man, my band played we have a rail system out here called BART, and BART
Uh-huh.
is Bay
Yes.
Area Rapid Transit. Yeah, and BART for some reason threw a prom, and my band played their prom, and there was
Dope.
it was a lot of people. It was at the Rockridge BART station in Oakland, and it was a nice party. But I
That's
missed you at
dope.
Bottle Rock because of that.
Bottle Rock was crazy. It was
I'm
incredible.
sure.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So the thing about when your record came out, we really enthralled with a different kind of hip hop at the time, as I'm sure you were, because we all were. We loved the realism of hip hop that was happening right then.
True.
But I grew up in a place where rappers came from as well. Vallejo is not only the hometown of Sly Stone, but of Confunction, and then later on of E40 and Mac Dre, and
Come
so
on.
we all grew up in that era. But
That's
what
dope.
we needed at the time, I felt like, even though we had Oakland's influence on us, we needed some reflection of the fact that we also were happy
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
We wanted change. We wanted to create something that our generation could call its own in the
Sure.
world. But we also were happy, and we had senses of humor, and we loved each other.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when you came out, that I think was you were the tuning fork for that.
That's dope that you say that. To me, I feel like Oakland is known for that. I mean, San Francisco did some of this hippie movement as well, but the hippie movement was protesting various things, but also very happy and exploring life and trying to live life to the full. And then, as you said, Sly and Family Stone, to me, that was the magical balance of their music, is
Yeah.
addressing things, but at the same time, very joyful. So it doesn't surprise me that Arrested Development was sort of, fit into that slot.
Yeah. Did you ever know Dwayne O'Ray from Tony, Tony, Tony?
Yes, met all of Tony, Tony, Tony.
Yeah, because they really sort of embodied that too, being from
Agreed.
Oakland and also
Agreed.
having, and it was all cookout music.
Yep, that's true. That is very true. Very
Yeah.
much. Yep.
Did you guys ever tour
Yep.
together?
No, well, actually, we might have done a show together, but we never toured together.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I would have loved to, actually. That'd have been really,
Yeah.
really great. Yeah.
Yeah, our show had its beginnings. Dwayne had a place called Mind Seed. That was a sound stage that he lived. It was beautiful because it was a sound stage where you could rehearse. Tony, Tony, Tony rehearsed there. I think
Okay.
Santana rehearsed there too. You could do like full on tech rehearsals, everything. And
Dope.
then he lived in the apartment in the mezzanine of this building.
Dope.
It was super dope. And he would just, he would, throw parties there and have rehearsals there. And we did probably 10 of our first 20 episodes out of that place. So we are always in gratitude of Dwayne and, of course, of his influence. But getting back to Arrested Development. Um, so we were all enthralled. I was constantly listening to would probably the same stuff you were. And then your record came out, and I kind of took a pilgrimage because I'm originally from Guam.
Yeah.
I took a pilgrimage out there, spent a couple weeks out there, and then by coincidence, I met a distant cousin who is also from California, but was there at the same time. And
Wow.
my cousin Sean, and we became, ultimately best friends, close collaborators, filmmaking partners, but we had not really known each other in childhood, and we met when we were both there. So it was almost like,
Wow.
yeah, it was almost like your soundtrack cemented the beginnings of this relationship that is, we're still very, very close to this day, and our children love each other, all that stuff.
Well, I have a beautiful story about Guam as well, but I didn't want to cut you off. So I don't know if you had more to say
Well,
about your
I
story.
was just going to finish by saying that trip really, 3 years became the soundtrack of that trip. And
Wow.
then when we
That's
came
so cool.
back, yeah, we came back, of course, we started to collaborate, and it became the soundtrack of a lot of our collaboration, along with, really the spark that we thought you started that included like Diggable Planets and,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of stuff that kind of lightened us up.
Yeah. That's
And we
dope.
could
That's
be
real dope.
not so angry so often.
Yeah.
So,
Facts.
uh, and I want to say
Wow.
that that soundtrack, it wasn't just because we brought it there, but everywhere we went, man, Guam loved Arrested Development because,
Wow.
it's an island vibe. And
Right.
so
No doubt.
you
Yeah.
spoke to that vibe. So yeah, man, when you make it to Guam, folks are going to love you. But tell your story about it.
Well, I've never been to Guam. I want to go. Um, so I was in LA. We went to the Grammys. We actually won Grammys this night, and two Grammys
Uh-huh.
for Best New Artist and Best Rap Single. And after the party, after the Grammys, there was a party, and it was somewhere on the grounds, I believe. And anyway, they were cooking. It was a beautiful celebration, and one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen was back there, and she had a bald head and extremely fine and just dark skinned, beautiful woman. And I stepped up to her and just started talking to her. Anyway, got to know her and asked her to be in, well, to do two things. I asked her to be on the cover of what our next single was going to be, which was a song from our first album called Natural. And I wanted her to model on the cover. And then I asked her also to be in the music video for that song. And she agreed. So I flew her to Atlanta. And no, actually, we shot this music video in LA, and we shot it in northern LA, well, northern California, I should say, in the countryside. And her name was Rita, and she said she's from Guam, although I met her in Los Angeles. So she was on the cover of our Natural video, and she also was in the cover of our Natural single and was in the Natural video. Black woman from Guam, and a meaningful human being to this very day. She does a lot of styling and like for movies nowadays. But anyway, so another wonderful story about Guam.
And her
Yeah.
name is Rita.
Yeah, Rita. Well, her name was Rita McGee. I don't know if she's married, if she changed her last name,
Okay.
but yeah. And that was 30 odd years ago. I'm now married and all of that. But that was a beautiful feeling that I had about Guam.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got that. Guam is so small that I'm going to find her.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Well, yeah, she lives in America now, I believe. But
yeah,
yeah.
but it's likely that I'll say I'm on the West Coast. It's 10:30. It's likely that when you and I are done here, I'll find her like by lunchtime.
Wow,
Uh,
that's amazing.
because we all don't know each other, but our parents all know each other.
I believe it. Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
we
dope.
had I was uh, one time I went to see Janet Jackson on the Rhythm Nation tour.
Wow.
And she
Wow.
introduced this keyboard player as the world's funkiest Guamanian. And
Wow.
I was insulted. I was like, "Hey, I'm right here." But she introduced him. His name is Rex Solis. So I went, when I got home the next day, I called my dad and I said, "Hey, last night this happened, and this guy's name is Rex Solis." And he said, "Oh, hold on, let me get your mother because she knows Rex's mom. They talk all the time."
Wow, that's
So,
funny.
and that has happened to me many times.
Yeah, that's
So,
dope. That's real dope. What's the population about of
about
Guam?
165,000.
Okay, so yeah, it is really small. That's really
Yeah.
dope.
And the
Wow.
generation that would be our parents was really the generation that started to leave because
Wow.
prior to that, my family had been there, who knows, 5,000 years.
Wow. That's so
Yeah.
dope.
So,
Wow.
um, one of the things that I got excited about talking to you, though, was that your sensibilities back then came in handy for a generation of us who sort of needed to, as much as we enjoyed the realism of, NWA and Ice Cube and Paris and all kinds of rappers who were out then, we needed some happiness. We needed to inject some focus on unity that was a little less angry.
Sure.
And I really believe that we need that right now.
Yeah,
And
I agree with you.
if not from you, from who?
Yeah. No, you're right because if there would have been someone, they probably would have come out by now. And I feel that way for me personally. Like as we tour, because right now we're on a legacy in motion tour,
Mm.
and it's about our legacy, but that it's not stagnant and nostalgic. It's in motion, so we're continuing it. It's a bridge to today and what people are going through now, and in the future. So we have a lot of youth that are coming to the shows. A lot of course, people our age and in our generation too, and it's exciting because I'm seeing this obvious sort of opening for an injection of some new music for the people. I'm seeing it. It's very obvious being around them and seeing who's coming to the shows and what they're saying after the show is over. It's very obvious. So yeah, it's feeling like a great time.
As your career, and I want to rewind and talk about some of those early milestones, but as your career went on, after the enormous success of a debut album, and then a little, a lull in financial or commercial success in the albums that followed, even though, you all stayed busy. Um, what was navigating that like? I mean, what were there times that seemed to have been as tough on some people who achieve immediate success? Because you seem a lot more grounded. You and pretty much most of the band seems a lot more grounded.
It was very tough, to be honest, because it was tough on all ends. So on the first end, we're being introduced to the world of fame, money, power on our first album ever.
Mm.
So what that means is that it's all new to us. And then on the flip side of that, after that album, we sold we sold 4 million copies in the United States of our first album. Our second album, Zinga Lamaduni, which really was our third album. Our second album was Unplugged, which was just a sort of
Yeah.
a mutation of the first album, right? That sold 500,000. We got that. But the second album, we were expecting it, and the label was expecting it to sell millions at least, and it didn't. And so that's the flip side of the first entry we had into the industry. And it was sort of like, wow, how do we deal with this huge fluctuation of interest in what we're doing? Me as the producer and vocalist and writer for the group, it was very tough because I felt a lot of pressure. You know, the first album did so well. I produced 98% of the tracks on there, and I wrote 90% of the lyrics. So, you know, I'm pressured to do something that's as impactful on the next record. So it was very tough, you know, navigating that. I am more grounded now. A lot of Bible reading and prayer and changing and repenting and learning and growing, and then also therapy. And, you know, so a lot of years have passed. There's a lot more grounding and understanding of it looking back. But at the time, it was really tough to the point where I did a solo album in 1996 called Speech, solo debut, self titled. And it didn't do well at all. It sold 15,000 copies in the United States, and I was depressed um, to where I was even, you know, contemplating, you know, yeah. So it's tough. It was tough times, you know, really had to try to work through that. Thank God I was able to, um, once that album came out, my solo album, it didn't do well in the States, but did extremely well in Japan. And then that got me into a whole new sort of way of delivering my music, which was licensing. And that's actually a very cool way for indie artists to do things now, even. But instead of signing to a label, I licensed my music to a label, and I was my own label, which is called Vagabond Music, Vagabond Productions. And so, yeah, it was a very interesting time and a lot of growth. Yeah.
That's you said a lot just now.
Yeah, I know I did.
That
I
was a
said a
lot.
lot.
I
That was
mean,
a
I
lot.
don't want
Yeah.
to brush past the fact that you contemplated creating your own exit, because that's a really
Yeah.
serious topic. And I know that, there are people out there who need to hear
Yeah.
that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and that there's a way out, even though oftentimes it seems like there is no way out.
That's correct. And that's what I would want to express to anybody, because what I learned from that is that in that day, it feels extremely dark and it seems as if there is no light, but then there is a new day. There's a new dawn. And then that new day brings with it all new circumstances that can be just as exciting as the old and bad circumstances were bad. So
Hmm.
that is my message to anyone that's been through similar thoughts or feelings that I was in.
Wow. Well, you also mentioned, though, that you have a new way of bringing your art to the people, and that is through licensing, and that you discovered that in I mean, so they love you in Japan, and there are a lot of artists here who do very well in other places.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, I have a good friend I want to shout out named Cornell Carter, who's an R&B singer, and
Come
here
on.
he's always been great, and we all love him here. But man, he gets love in England,
Go.
love,
We
and
do
so
too. England is a big market for us. Yeah.
that's fantastic. Sometimes other places love our most important artists more than we do.
A lot of times. Actually, I think probably more than not. So,
Yeah.
what I've noticed being in this industry for 37 years or more is that a lot of artists, um, they may be able to break through in the United States to some degree or another, but probably their most longevity oriented fans and their most lucrative monies are going to be made elsewhere. There's a lot of great markets that really appreciate what we're doing in the United States and have a longer shelf life with your music than the United States does. So yeah,
Yeah, and attention spans are different, and
exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot of things that culturally happen in other places that make them more receptive to our art.
Yep. That's
Jimi
exactly right.
Hendrix had to
Yep.
leave.
Yep. Sure did. The Roots started off overseas. The Roots got their big market overseas, and then they came back here and started to do better. Yeah.
Crazy. So when you have a record that is in, I mean, you guys won best new artist. Your best new artist Grammy, you beat Billy Ray Cyrus,
Yeah.
and it seemed like he was busy winning everything.
Yeah. He had an achy breaky heart, I heard.
Yeah. So somebody had to break it. So, when you have this artistic burden that weighs on you from creating a success that big, and
Yeah.
then even though your stuff continues to get critical acclaim, it's just not commercially catching on. Um, your licensing, let's talk about that, because how tell us how that works.
So now what I do is I create with my label and my team. We create the album, the music. I pay for that myself. We create the album covers, we create the promotional materials and the photo shoots and everything else. And then we deliver that product to the label to rent, in a sense, which is the licensing deal.
Yeah,
And they can rent it for 3 years or whatever amount of time we agree on. It's usually about 3 years. And they rent it and they sell it to their marketplace. We've done that. Me and my team have done that now in Japan with numerous albums, but we also do it in the UK, it throughout Europe. Like Germany is a fantastic market for us. In each one of these markets, licensed separately. So we'll license to the UK for a certain amount of money and for a certain amount of time. License to Germany, license to Japan, and of course, even license to the United States sometimes. So yes, it's just a different way of handling the music. We own the masters. I own my own masters, and it just really works out in the long run for everybody.
so your licensing deals go for a certain amount of time, and then they're able to have the work to exploit as they see fit. So in that amount of
Yes.
time, and I know these are all conditional things, you probably have ultimate control over what you let go. But let's say I'm a Japanese distributor, I'm able to sell the music, I'm able to sell singles, I'm able to package albums based on your artwork and so you retain creative control in that all of the collateral that goes along with your work is yours.
It is. And I do allow them to create other assets for promotion because Japan obviously is in a totally different language. They have a
Yeah.
totally different culture. And
Uh-huh.
so what might appeal to them, it's similar if you think about some of the movies that get released here
Yeah.
in the United States, but then get released over there. Sometimes they might change the title of
Yes.
the movie to better, please their audience. Same thing with McDonald's. They'll have, overseas in Japan, they have the mixed shrimp burger because shrimp is more popular there. Exactly. So it's stuff that we don't have here, but they got it there. So it's a give and take and it's a partnership, but I maintain control of the main assets. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us the most interesting asset that has been created as like a derivative of your work in a foreign country. Did you ever see something and go, I had no idea they were going to make whatever it is.
Well, yes. And that happens actually more than most artists probably would think.
Okay.
Even in the label here in the United States, numerous times we walk into the label and there's posters, there's jackets, there's swag, or even what do you call it when you lay on between a tree, you lay on
A hammock.
a hammock, like hammocks that I never knew the label created. But that's the United States, and they'll do it for the group. But
Yeah.
then overseas, for my solo career and Arrested Development, which we ended up doing some licensing with Arrested Development overseas as well. The weirdest thing I ever saw was my wife and I gave birth to our baby boy. His name is Jahi, and we took a picture of him. We put it up on some site just to brag about our beautiful boy. And we walk into a Tower Records in Japan, which is, records are actually still very big there, and CDs are still big there, bigger
Hmm.
than streaming in Japan, and because of various regulations that they have there. And so we walked into a Tower Records, and there was a poster the size of a house that was my son, the exact same picture that my wife and I took of my son. And talk about a derivative of something that we created. They were using it to promote some other artist, and they used my son as their cover. So that was
Wow.
one of the weirdest things to walk into Tower Records and see a house-size poster of your child,
Of your
and it's
child. Yeah, your baby.
and we
Oh. Oh, I lost you for a second there. I don't know if you can hear me speech, but I lost visual and audio of you. I'm not sure. If you can hear me, I'm going to remove you from the stage and then maybe bring you back in and see if that works. Oh, I got a picture. Something.
Okay, let me see
There we
here.
go. There's some audio.
Okay, you can hear me. Let's see.
I can hear. There you go. There you are.
There we go. Yeah, let me see here. Uh, Let me try.
okay. Can you hear me now?
I can. I can. Uh,
Okay, there we go.
yeah. So the derivative works. I told you about my cousin Sean, who became my filmmaking partner. We made a movie called Premonitions back in '90. I don't know when it was. Um, don't look it up. It was not great, but we sold it to
Okay.
this distributor in Thailand, and then we created all the
Wow.
collateral, the cover for the CD, the DVD, and we wrote all the copy. And then
Nice.
we got a copy of it from that my cousin bought on Amazon, and they had taken our artwork and the copy that we wrote, and they translated it from English to Thai back to English. And
Wow.
so I was reading like the paragraph that I wrote for the back of the DVD, and it was hilariously not
Right.
right.
Totally wrong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. That's funny. That's
Man.
funny.
So now that you have, these revenue opportunities that are happening internationally, you're still able to tour and you still have people coming out and loving you at festivals like Bottle Rock. Um, do you have the wherewithal to create a new piece of work for us now that can bring us back to that happy place where we can all be unified again and love each other because of all of the division that's happening in our
Yeah.
country right now? Not to heap that
Well,
on your shoulders, but
exactly. Yeah. No, well, I hope so. And I like to think that to some degree or another, maybe a small degree or a large degree, I'm meant for this. So I feel like the way I was raised, my life experience,
yeah.
and sort of how I digest the world and what I want to put back out, I feel like was meant for this. And I've been getting encouraging signs that maybe I'm the person that can help bring that. So to a small extent or to a large extent, yeah, I think it's time. Yeah.
Do you have collaborators in mind?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, not even like in the special guest sense, but more so just musical collaborators, people that I deeply respect,
Yeah.
and producers, engineers, people like that I just really feel like can help me be the best me that I can be. And then same difference with the rest of the group members. I think people that can help us just be the best group that we can be. Yeah.
There's two people in your in your past enormous success that I want to ask you about, and whatever impact they might have had on you. And the first is my favorite musician ever is Prince. Uh, and I know that he slapped you with a bill at some point for using Tennessee,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. The word. Yeah.
whether that was justified or not, uh, it did lead to some sort of a relationship that the two of you had, right? You got to meet him. You got to did it
Yeah.
get any further than having just getting to meet him?
No, no, we just met, but Prince and I, ironically, had numerous interactions, but in person, just one night where it was at Paisley Park. My wife and I were at Paisley Park for a celebration he was doing, and I was performing with the world-renowned, incredible bass player Victor Wooten.
Oh,
I was Victor Wooten's DJ that night, which was all part of a plan because Victor knew how much I love Prince, and he asked me to DJ for him because he was opening up for Prince at Paisley Park. So that was the last time I saw Prince, but a number of other interactions happened. I performed, the group performed at Grand Slam, or I think it's called
Glam
Grand
Slam.
Slam or Glam Slam in Minnesota, Minneapolis. And he was there, but didn't get a chance to meet him in person, but he was
Ugh.
there. And he invited us to that club. And then also, he invited me to Paisley Park a couple times, and unfortunately, I was in the middle of something that I couldn't get out of, but so I couldn't meet him, which I've learned since is sort of like something you just don't do. Like if you get a chance to meet Prince, you cancel whatever that is,
Yeah.
and you go see him if he summons you. And I
Yes.
didn't get the memo, so I unfortunately didn't get the chance to see him, and so, and then another time I was with a friend of mine named Foley, who knows Prince very well. And Foley played bass for Miles Davis, but he
Mm.
also played bass for Arrested Development. So Foley talked to him on the phone, and we were in Minneapolis. And he said, "Yo, I got speech here. You want to hang out?" And he was like, "Yo, yeah, definitely. Let's, come on by." So we drive out to his studio, Paisley Park, and they're in rehearsal. Him and not the Revolution, but New Power Generation was in rehearsals. And the
As they
moment I
so
got into
often
the
were.
rehearsals,
Hmm.
as they so often were, the moment I got into the rehearsals, he bolted out and went behind a two-way mirror
Come
and
on, Prince.
watched us the entire time. And the band members were whispering to me, saying, like, he was just here. He knew you guys were coming. And
Yeah.
he bolted out. And so he's just watching you from this mirror over here and without pointing, because you had to be really careful how you sort of carried yourself in his presence. So it was a trip. So I've had a lot of like of those kind of interactions with Prince. It's been, it was amazing. He is my
Yeah.
favorite artist ever, though. My favorite artist.
I agree. And you're talking about you've played with people who've had the pedigree of Miles Davis, which, it does not get better than that, except for maybe for Prince.
Yeah,
Um,
except for Prince. Yeah, exactly.
it's
Yeah,
like if you're a musician, you have arrived if you played with Miles. Generationally, it
true,
doesn't matter. You have
true.
arrived if you
That's
played
very
with
true.
Miles. You have arrived if you played with Prince. Maybe Herbie. Uh,
Definitely, which I've played with. And
oh, come
I played
on,
with Herbie.
man.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I played with Herbie Hancock in Japan on a huge festival. It was me, Herbie Hancock, Yuso Endure, Christian McBride, and Shaka Khan,
Oh,
and
come
and me
on.
and a couple members of my group. So yeah,
Uh,
we played with Herbie Hancock, who I've met as well a couple times. Yeah,
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 he man. So the other person I wanted to ask you about, and I'm glad we bounced off of Herbie for a second as well, was we had a guest on this show. There was a guy who did some work for us, some production work, and his name was Damian, and uh he was from doggone it, Macedonia. He was from
okay.
North Macedonia, and he said, "I would like for you guys to have a guest on the show who is my favorite filmmaker." And we said, "Sure." Is he from Macedonia? And he said, "Yep. His name is Milcho Manchevsky."
Milcho.
Yeah.
Milcho is amazing. He is such a he's a fantastic ancestral storyteller, in my opinion. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, and I'm going to encourage our viewers to go back and watch the video that he made for your song Tennessee, because
Yes,
it's um, visually striking, and it most
it is.
definitely is a story told through the drama of light and dark, black and white.
Yeah.
Um, it
Yeah.
was an amazing video. How did you end up collaborating with him? Well, how did you choose him as the director, or how'd that come
Yeah.
about?
So what I loved about those days is um I went to EMI, which was our label, and they gave me a big portfolio booklet of directors. And then you open it up and you go through their visual work. Now, obviously, they weren't videos just yet, but if you like their visual general aesthetic, then you watch, some of their work.
Yeah.
And Milcho struck me as the person that I just loved. I loved the way he represented humanity in his visuals, and he would show like the wrinkles of a face. He wouldn't try to, perfect things. He liked to show this certain raw aspect of humanity, and I chose him, and he came out to Atlanta, Georgia, which is where we're based, and we shot that video, although it's called Tennessee, in Upper Georgia, and when he said he wanted to do black and white, I was a little torn because it was our first video ever, and I was scared that it may not pop because at that time Busta Rhymes was out with like woo-ha, and it was super colorful. Um, Forget the director's name right now, but uh, Hype Williams, who does absolutely amazing work, and there was just a lot of color, a lot of vibrancy that was really working in the marketplace. And here is Milcho who wants to do the very opposite. And I was just scared because I didn't want the single to flop and then we don't have a chance to,
Mm.
basically have a career. So he
Wow.
convinced me. And not only that, at first I told him, I said, why don't we shoot it in color and transfer it to black and white in post? He said, no, the way I want to shoot this is if we go black and white, it will be richer, it will be better, but we actually have to shoot it in black and white and we have to commit. And
Wow.
I happily did do that, but it was scary as well. I
Happily
had to sort of,
now, in retrospect.
yeah, happily in retrospect, exactly. But at the time, it was scary because I'm trusting him um, to make sure that we have a fantastic product. And it's funny when we were done with the video, I didn't like it. I I I was scared. I was scared because I knew it looked beautiful, but I was scared that it wasn't going to be hip hop enough to grab hold of the present hip hop generation at that time. I was afraid that it just wasn't aesthetically going to be, um, uh, I don't know, exciting enough to make sure people paid attention. And I was wrong, thank God, and everything turned out incredible. But yeah, it was a scary time because, like I said, it was our first album, so our first record, first single,
First video too.
first video. So it's
The-
like do or die.
yeah. This is your stepping up to the plate, your first at bat in the
Exactly,
major leagues, and
exactly
he wants
right.
to go black and white.
He
And
wants to go black and white. Yep.
the even the Arrested Development aesthetic was colorful. So
Yes, that's
uh,
exactly right.
that's
Yep,
quite a sales job.
it's quite a sales job.
And he, thank goodness he was right. But
Yes,
shooting
he
it
was
in
right.
black and white made that big difference because all of the really sharp contrast is
Yep,
really what
exactly.
what drives all of that home.
It sure does. And we were the first of many things. So we were the first to do that bold of a black and white, but we were also the first to do a rural South music video in hip hop genre. We were the
Mhm.
first to have old man and young people in the video. We were first to have men and women in this music video in hip hop. I mean, people don't realize that. Like there was a group called Funky 4+1 that was before us. And believe it or not, other than that, there was no mixed hip hop groups that existed that I know of at least in
Yeah,
all of hip hop. It's now commonplace. People like the Fugees or Black Eyed Peas, Arrested Development, of course.
yeah,
But that wasn't the case when we were coming out. We were before the Fugees, before Black Eyed Peas. Um, you might have a girl group like Salt and Pepper have, a guy like Herbie Lovebug who's their producer, but not part of the group. So you
right.
had things like that, but you never had that mixture, believe it or not. So we were doing a lot of first, and we were just breaking down a lot of barriers.
Yeah. I mean, that's very much the spirit of Sly. We've had Sly Stone on this. We had the Sly Stone on the show before he passed away too.
That's amazing.
He said some
Amazing.
very profound things about the fact that he was very deliberate in recruiting people who,
Yeah.
were from everywhere so that he could be accepted, and so that he could try to crack into the hearts and minds of people who otherwise would look the other way.
Totally, I love that about him. Very intentional. I agree.
Yeah. Tell us about the Chrysalis EMI experience of, being on that label in the early 90s. Who was on that label with you?
So rap wise, we were the only rap group on that particular label. Now, as
Hmm.
most labels do,
It
there
was you
was
guys and Huey Lewis
subsidiaries.
in the News.
Yeah, Huey Lewis in the News, Blondie. Um,
Blondie.
yes, and so as far as hip hop, they had subsidiaries because they were afraid to mess up their brand, to put some of these groups on Chrysalis. But Gangstar was also on a subsidiary, which they were
Yeah.
like label mates to us. We talked to them all the time, toured with them often. Um, Later, but this was after us, they would sign D'Angelo.
Yeah.
He was gonna end up being on that label. Um, Diggable Planets was on a subsidiary. So I mean, there was a lot of UMC's was on a subsidiary. So, but on Chrysalis itself, we were the only ones at the time. Yeah,
Wow. And they hit a home run with their first hip hop act.
they did. And I will say it was interesting because I had to be like, they literally looked to me as an artist to help guide them on how to market this product to the hip hop world. So they
Wow.
didn't have a clue. And, they were trying to figure it out. And they're like, well, what do you think we should do? And I had to tell them, like, do this. Let's start here, make sure we get a groundswell there and then here. And so I had to try to, explain to them what I think that they should do. They followed all of that advice. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so then with the lack of success that you experienced after that commercially, um, how was the relationship? Did they still kind of have faith in you as a solo artist? Did they continue to support you as a anything?
Well, it was a lot of transition and turmoil, unfortunately, in every
Yeah.
way.
It
So, within our group, there was turmoil.
Mhm.
The group started having internal strife, but then in the label itself, there was a lot of turmoil. Presidents were being removed. Some new presidents were being put in. Staff were being removed. With Arrested Development having crossover success, a lot of their internal staff were fighting over who gets the credit for Arrested Development success. Is it the rap department? Is it the R&B department? Because we did well on the rap charts. We did well on the R&B charts. We did well on the top 100 charts as well. We got to number 6 with Tennessee, I believe it was. Mr. Wendell got in top 10. So on People Every Day got in top 10 or top 20. So we had success in all these different charts, and they were trying to determine who gets the credit for this and who's going to rise up because of the success of AD. So by the time the second album came around, there was a lot of posturing going on in the label internally to determine who's sort of working this record. And at that time, there's a book called The Hitmen that came out that talked about just a lot of the huge changes on the top level of the music industry during 93, 94, 95, which all affected us. So yeah, it was a tough time on that second album.
Mm, wow. So all around and just in the industry, in general, there's just a lot of upheaval and change, and you sort of
Without a
sat
question.
through.
Without Yeah, without a
So you
question
you
we did.
sat through a tornado and a typhoon and a heat wave and
In a
everything else
hurricane.
all at once,
Yeah, in a wildfire. Yeah,
yeah,
all of that stuff.
and somehow persevered.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I want to call this episode, subtitle it "Faith Over Fear."
like that.
It seems like that is the through line of your career, artistic endeavors, commercial endeavors, and then somehow successes that you've found in a business where people are really having a hard time finding successes.
That's true. Yeah. And I agree with the faith part, faith over fear. And it doesn't mean you don't have fear, it just means you put faith above it. And that's what I've been doing for 30 something years.
Yeah. So it really has
Yeah.
been important to you to have a um, faith practice. To you mentioned therapy. You've
Oh, definitely.
you've done all of the work.
I wouldn't say all of it, but I've done um, a lot of work in all of those areas. So, yeah, I definitely, there's more work to be done. But to me, I feel like um, this life is so thick and so rich that you're doing a disservice to yourself for not doing some work to try to figure out how to best navigate it. To me, that's with anybody. I don't care who you are. You should do some work on yourself in order to best navigate this relatively short amount of time that we have here and do the best you can, man. That's what we're here to do.
So not to cope, but to maximize.
That's exactly right. The word cope and the word change is exactly opposite, not the same. We can make change. We don't have to just cope.
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic. I want to close up by giving you the opportunity to tell us what, whatever you're up to, whatever and by the way, I'm sorry I missed you at Bottle Rock, but if I can ever be boots on the ground for something you got coming up in the Bay Area, the answer is yes. I'm in for whatever you need out here,
Appreciate
and,
that.
and,
That's
and I
dope.
know people who will come along with me who feel the same.
Yeah. Well, I love it there. We are coming back to that area in September, but this time I say we, it's actually me. I have a speaking engagement. I do keynote speeches
Uh-huh.
and I speak to usually corporations about brave leadership. And so I'll be coming there, God willing, in September. And so I look forward to connecting with you when I get there. And meanwhile, we're on a tour called the Legacy Emotion Tour. And it is our most powerful experience yet. I think people should definitely come to arresteddevelopmentmusic.com and get any date that we're near you. Go ahead and buy tickets, come to see that because we're touring the United States, but of course the UK, Europe as well. And so, yeah, this is the time to check out Arrested Development. We're on our best tour yet.
Arresteddevelopmentmusic.com. Who's still
Yep.
in the band?
Well, I'm the only original member that's in the band at this point. So if you come see us now, I'm the only original member. The other members are 20 plus years in this group. So they're definitely, veterans in this group,
Yeah.
but they're not the original lineup. The two other members that are of the original lineup do join us. In fact, they'll be joining us on a show on June 19th in Atlanta and June 20th in South Carolina. So for those listening
Oh,
that are in
wow.
those two areas, you'll see some of the other members of the original group. That's Razadon and Ishi. And
Mm.
then one member headliner just decided not to be in the group, so he can't come. So he's not coming. And then Bob OJ, our elder, has passed. And then one other member is Airly Tari, and unfortunately, her health doesn't allow her to tour. So
Oh,
that's where
man.
we are with all the original members. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Mr. Wendell uh, gave a humanity to people who were homeless that I think younger people needed to see that humanity. I think if there was an impact there that I really appreciated about Mr. Wendell, was that is that younger people could be less afraid to talk to somebody because they were down and out, um, or they were homeless, or they were whatever their situation
sure,
was. It gave a
sure,
humanity to people. The homelessness that we see in this country has definitely not gone away. I don't know, I don't keep up on the statistics. It sure seems like it's worse now than it's ever been. Um, what do you think the face of Mr. Wendell has changed as you portrayed it?
Well, that's a good question. When we released that record, we wanted to be the kind of group that wasn't just talk, but we were also action. And so I had asked the group if they'd be fine with donating half of our proceeds from the single Mr. Wendell to the National Coalition of the Homeless. They agreed. We did do that. We ended up, our first check to them was for over $250,000. Um, we toured, we had two tours going on simultaneously when we toured in the 90s. We had our concert tour, but every city we went to, I had a separate person that was part of our team who was responsible for getting us to homeless shelters. So we would go to homeless shelters in the daytime, do a soundtrack, do a sound check, rest for a second. Well, actually do press, then rest, and then go do a show. We do that every single day in every city. We go do homeless shelters. And our goal was just to further humanize them, to encourage them, and to help people to see them, instead of them just sort of being city furniture in a sense on the sidewalk, to
Mm.
actually see them. I know that that had an impact. What the face is today, I can't really say for sure. I do know whenever especially when I go to the West Coast, in LA in particular, I see um, a lot more homelessness than I remember seeing of all the years I used to go. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. So it seems like it's getting worse, but I haven't looked at the stats either. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, what I think you touched on with the song was that you gave an approachability to homeless people, and I don't know if the impact of that song has worn off because when somebody is homeless, a lot of people tend not to look at them.
sure.
And for a while there, Mr. Wendell made it okay to say, "Hey, are you okay? Can I help you out?
I get
Can
that a lot. A lot of fans come up to me and say that what you
yeah,
just said. They said you changed my worldview when it came to the homeless. Yeah, so that's encouraging. It's cool.
man, okay." So, the website is arresteddevelopmentmusic.com. You can get tour
Yeah.
dates there. You can buy tickets there. We all need to we all need a little injection of happiness and unity, and that's where you're going to find it, everybody. So if they're coming to a city near you, I encourage you to make sure you go see them, and it'll change your day. It'll change your weekend. It might change your life for at least a little while, and it might give you an outlook that helps others around you to be a little happier as well. Speech, I've been a big fan of your work for a long, long time, and it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Thank you for joining me today and spending
Thank
some
you,
time.
my Guam brother. Thank you.
Right on.
Peace.